All right, happy Saturday afternoon, everybody, particularly to all of the Texas Tech Red Raider fans out there today doing something most of you have not done in your lifetime, and that's celebrate a Big 12 championship. Welcome to Raiderland Rewind, presented by Live Life Well Clinic of Lubbock, headed up by Dr. John Skelton. They're ready to take care of you guys and gals on into the new year, but get started feeling healthy and being right now. Give them a holler at Live Life Well Clinic. Come Monday, we're in the Hat Creek Interior Studios. You don't have to own a ranch to live like you do. Check out their showroom in Lubbock, Texas. They ship anywhere, hatcreek.us. Yes, a lot to talk about today on an historic Raiderland Rewind. Texas Tech beating BYU 34-7. So, how does it feel? What are you feeling right now, Texas Tech fans? What does it mean to you? And then we'll recap the game, get your thoughts, find out what you liked about it, what you loved about it, things you hated about it. It's all in one single football game, and it's all here on Raiderland Rewind, presented by Live Life Well Clinic of Lubbock. Let's get it going in 3, in 2, in. Good afternoon, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com. You start your day on the website every day. Check out those cool Raiderland hot links. Brought to you by Jackson Brothers Meat Locker in Post, Texas. They ship anywhere, so go online, get your holiday orders placed ASAP. 34-7, Texas Tech covers again, first 12-win season in school history. Rock solid in the college football playoff now. It's just a matter of will they be 4-3? Could they go to 2? I don't know. We're going to find out. We've still got a lot of games to see the total impact and what's going to happen tomorrow morning. I think the selection shows at 11, and you've got a reason to watch this year, don't you, Texas Tech fans? You know your names pop up. You're not Miami. You're not Notre Dame. You're sadly, well, not sadly, but sadly for them, BYU, that Texas Tech may have knocked them out of the playoffs, which I think would be a travesty for an 11-win team. So that would be something that we're obviously going to have to pay attention to over the next, 24 hours, give or take. But we want to hear from you on the United Supermarkets chat line, whether you are on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media, whether you are on Facebook or our YouTube channel watching. You can get in thanks to United Supermarkets. That's right, the official supermarket of Raiderland and Texas Tech Athletics. They support West Texas, put their names on things at Tech. There's other stores that take your money and send them down to Austin and put their name on stuff down there. So what are you thinking? Get in. We'll go as long as this thing lasts. I can tell you one thing. Well, maybe, yeah. Here you go. Defense does it again. Penn Roberts, big day. Coy Eakin, huge catches. Red zone issues. Yep, we'll talk about that. And then the Stone Zone was back in play. 4 field goals today there for Stone Harrington and the Red Raiders. Let's get your comments going. You guys know what I think for the most part. Invite your friends in. Tell them we're talking Red Raider football right now. Jeff leads us off. He was actually in on the comments before we got this thing rolling. Says it's the greatest day to be a Red Raider. Waited more than 50 years for this. I've received text messages from old friends, from people who worked in the athletic department at Texas Tech, even in the late 80s and into the night, all of that today. And trust me, this is about as emotional moment, I think, for Texas Tech fans that would be top 3, 4, 5 in the history of Tech athletics, not just Tech football. And this is the biggest win in Tech football history. It dwarfs everything else in importance. Fascinating. I think it's almost appropriate that it occurs on a day here in West Texas where the winds are up, they're blowing, they're howling, and you got to be West Texas stuff to be out here. Jeff, my hot take. Pancakes, hotcakes. Offensive play calling was garbage all game. Disagree with that. Wasn't bad all game. In fact, there were some series that were really good, but there were, again, mystifying moments in the play calling, and particularly in the red zone at times. I would not be sad, he says, if Leftwich got a G5 or a head coaching job this offseason. Kelly King there on YouTube channel, Brian Hyatt's Raiderland. Kurtz gave you a shout out. How about that? John Kurtz, our friend up there in Manhattan, Kansas. Good guy. Good people. Not just because he gave us a shout out. Chris gets in on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. Tech should be at least the 3 seed. I agree. That's what I've been saying for the last nearly 4 weeks now. I think the College Football Playoff Committee has telegraphed this and set up the path by having Texas Tech in there at 4 and slowly moving them up and getting them in there at 4, that you can go SEC winner Georgia, Ohio State, Big Ten winner, Indiana, Ohio State 1. Georgia wins, I think they'd be 2. You could justify moving Tech to 3, and then you can move in the loser of the Big Ten game. I think would be the next one to do that. The interesting thing there would be, would they want the Big Ten to have a semifinal rematch at that 1-4 mark? So there are things to be considered. Kelly, I'm thinking what's next or who? Yeah. Ask you how you're feeling, Texas Tech fans. Where does this rank for you in your Texas Tech fandom history? Michael gets in our YouTube channel. The TV announcers today were great. Joe Tessitore can definitely tell great stories. Yeah, but the whole time, every time he's doing a game, all I hear is Texas is back. I'm not a fan. I thought it was a good broadcast. Thought it was a good, solid broadcast. But he's not one of my guys on play-by-play. As I told somebody today, almost thought maybe Tim Brando would be better. There you go, product placement. But I thought the broadcast was good. I thought it was fair. The shots of inside the stadium and the Texas Tech crowd, unbelievable. Jared, Tech football gave me the same feelings that Tech baseball gave me the first time Tech went to the College World Series. Agreed. Joseph, happened just like I thought, close for 2.5 quarters, then Texas Tech flexes their muscle. I think their offense may just be good enough to win. The last 2 years, we would refer sometimes to the Tech defense as a just good enough defense. They were just good enough to give you a chance, just good enough. Now it's the offense that you're going, my gosh, if you could just convert red zone stuff, if you can just do that, you're a juggernaut. The defense is good enough to play with anybody in college football right now. I'll put them up against that. After that first drive, and you got to give BYU credit. I thought they came out and their scripted plays for the first drive were really well executed. Bear Buckmeyer playing well. Obviously, he kind of got dinged up as the game went on. But after that first drive, I think Tech gave up 110 yards total, maybe the rest of the game. It was a 90-yard drive right on the first one. I don't know how many pages of notes we went through today, but you can go back and look. The defense, every time I think it can't get any better, it does what they did today. And then you outscore BYU 34-0 over the rest of the game. They're just that good. Jeff, I sat on the front porch of my grandparents' house on 2nd Street as a little kid listening to the crowd over in Jones Stadium in the early 70s. Didn't know if I would ever live to see this. And I think a lot of Tech fans are feeling that way. And then I've also been thinking, not in a morbid sense, but so many people over the years that were so loyal to Texas Tech that weren't around to see this today. And I'd like to hope that they got to watch it. However you do that in heaven, I hope they got to watch it. My brother and my dad included on that deal. Lynn gets it on Facebook. Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland on Facebook. If you hadn't subscribed to the YouTube channel, we'd love to go over 700 subscribers this weekend. Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, at Ryan Hyatt Media on Twitter, and then Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland there on Facebook. The best day. It's a great day to be a Red Raider. He sums it up simply on that. Jeff, Texas and OU fans saying, we only win when they leave the conference isn't the burn they think it is. So all your championships were against bad teams. Good riddance. Yeah. Barbara, how sweet it is. Great day for Texas Tech. I don't know that Arlington's ready for the party that is about to spill out of Cowboys Stadium right now. Good Lord, heaven help them. Damon, listening to Brian, John, and Chris, always top flight broadcast team. I heard some of the post-game show on radio. And one, I'm glad they were able to mic up and bring you the trophy presentation if you weren't in a position to watch. And I'm glad ABC showed the trophy presentation and all that good stuff. And how about Joey McGuire, who started his press conference at Texas Tech the day he was hired with a Raider power and a let's go. And that's the first thing he does on stage when they hand him the mic. I didn't think they handed him the mic. She was just like, she was ready to ask all sorts of questions and everything, you know? And he's like, nah, I'm talking here. We're making a statement. Off of Facebook, if Bama wins this and the Big Ten games a blowout either way, then I think we might have a shot at taking up the 2 spot. It's possible. James, was BYU touchdown an attempt at a knockout punch? Was the BYU touchdown an attempt at a knockout punch? Give me more specifics on that one. What you're trying to refer to. Still shocked, so satisfied. I feel like the most beautiful women in history. Oh, woman. There you go. Rego Mega. Well, I don't know. Maybe later today you could. Never know. It's possible. Like Joey McGuire says, believe. Jared, defensive player won the outstanding player of the game for the Big 12. Come on, Heisman committee, give the trophy to a defensive guy. Yeah, Ben Roberts with his 2 picks, and that coming back after kind of getting rolled up by was Nesky or who got him on the play early in the game, and then goes and gets the two big picks that could have cashed in on even more than they did on that, but just that was the defense stifling BYU. And I said, during the game, I think on Twitter about those first 2 possessions of the second half, and you got to win the middle 8, and Texas Tech obviously did that, but you needed those turnovers to take the fight out of BYU. That as they just kept hanging around, you just kept letting them hang around. And there were a couple of times again where if you'd scored touchdowns, it didn't matter obviously, but you know what I'm talking about. Glenda, after the first BYU drive, the Red Raider defense pitched a shutout. Love getting one turnover after another. Yeah. Instead of take 3 University, it was take 4 University. Red River City, 8750. That's the elevation there, not the altitude. Like the way the team members interact like buddies. Joe McGuire talks about how this team loves everybody. ELE. Everybody love everybody. McGuire undefeated in Cowboys Stadium. Got to be more specific. AT&T Stadium. Jones AT&T Stadium. Let's see. Lisa on Facebook. Are we going to party on Memorial Circle like when the Lady Raiders won the national championship? It's really nasty in Lubbock. I don't think that they will do that today. I think the parties will be confined indoors. Dallas, the only thing missing to make it a movie was the slow clap. Slow clap. Who can get treatment for that? Randy Wade. Will the SEC cartel let us play an SEC team in the second round? I have a feeling they will want us to play Oregon or another Big Ten team. We'll see where everything lines out, where it winds up. Jared, there's a sense of pride of a team from Texas winning a championship in a Texas stadium on Texas soil. Texas forever, from the TV show Friday Night Lights. All right, so game thoughts, overall thoughts for Texas Tech fans. What did you like today? What did you love? What did you hate? Defense. I'm running out of superlatives. They were bad on that first drive. BYU just kept making some plays, and I tweeted during the game, it was like, it's so weird to see an opponent on the other side of the field. That they crossed the 50, and it's like you've got a personal indignation on this. And I think the defense took it as almost an insult after that first drive that they had been scored on. First time all year, an opening drive score by the opposing teams. That they have played like this at times this year, that this defense takes it personally when the offense has success. Of course, Jacob Rodriguez. By the way, did you see him win the $250,000 donation to a charity of his choice on a game day this morning when he chunked one from 20 yards out and hit the goal post? How cool was that? 13 tackles for him. Chris, nice to see a championship celebration at Cowboy Stadium. I think that's why Jerry Jones likes having the Big 12 title game there every year, because he's guaranteed somebody celebrating. DG from West Texas. Texas Tech didn't miss this opportunity, no. Hey, babe. Is Typical Tech dead? Has this team killed that once and for all? Is that over? Baseball, Lady Raiders did it, in the 90s and early 2000s. Baseball comes through. Basketball to within an eyelash of a national. It's the end of it. Typical Texas Tech doesn't exist anymore, right? Typical Texas Tech now is a shot in almost any program to be competitive nationally. That's what Typical Tech is today. Defense wins championships. Well, we kind of said it for decades around here. And I think the point has been proven that even on I'm going to say at times, a rough day for the offense, and then at other times, just beautiful. And I think that's what's so frustrating, I think, for Texas Tech fans and probably the coaches alike, that the team can just be clicking so well offensively at times. And then all of a sudden, a false start penalty. I think you had 3 today, or you get a penalty, or you get, 2 negative plays, and then all of a sudden it's wheels off. The red zone issues are real. We can't get away from that now. In, against, I think, the top 2 opponents you've played this year, you've left a lot of meat on the bone. And I think a lot of it's play calling. Sorry, it just is. Loved everything except BYU's first drive. Hated nothing. Another defense wins championship. Only negative was that our offense, who drove the field for a TD once. Yeah. And then the defense just kept trying to give them gifts. And they're like, there they have the back-to-back possessions, which were just mind-numbing. You get that huge hit on Bear Bachmeier there, 1st and 10, BYU 42, and Height. I think Romello Height recovered it. Was it Holmes who made the big hit on that play? I can't remember who got the hit on that. That was right after they got a DPI on Pollock. And you go -2 yards over 4 plays, and you kick the field goal. And then you get the interception by Roberts, and you go 0 yards, and you miss the field goal. You got 3 points out of those 2 turnovers there, starting the 4th quarter. I mean, again, whatever you want to do. The Eakin little wheel out, round out play there to score from 28 yards to make it 31-7. Golly, that was a good catch and run. 3 for 66 and 2 TDs. And then you get the Martin catch and fumble after that, and then Texas Tech goes and gets another field goal, 34-7. Any of those could have, should have been touchdowns, but we've talked about it before. Money Changer didn't like the penalties, but seemed to clean that up in the second half. Overall, the defense exceptional again. Yeah, your total on penalties on the day. You had 5 for 35. At least 3 were pre-snap. Then you had the DPI. That's 4. Were there 4 false starts? I'm missing another penalty somewhere in there, I think. Getting your thoughts, finding out what this game means to you, this championship, all on the United Supermarket chat line, United chat line there. We're in the Hat Creek Interior Studios, as we always are in Raiderland, hatcreek.us. Hey, if you're looking for great Western-style furniture and accessories, go to hatcreek.us or go to their showroom in Lubbock. And then, of course, the whole thing presented by Dr. John Skelton and his staff at the Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, Texas. Great website. They can do, the telemedicine type stuff, in-person consultations. They just want you to live your best life. It's really that simple. That's their charge, and they can help you do it with, I'm going to say, unique solutions to non-unique problems that a lot of us face health-wise, whether you're old, young, or in between. James, let's see. The radio guys were in a touch of panic on BYU's first drive. it was just odd to watch. Like I said, we are so used to watching this Texas Tech defense not give up anything, and when they do, you're just like shaking your head. How did this happen? The expectations on this defense that fans, media, and otherwise, everybody else has put upon them as they become the greatest defense in Texas Tech history, on the greatest team in Texas Tech history, is almost not illogical, but impossible to live up to it. They gave up a touchdown. David gets in on Facebook. Dave the Yard Guy approves Texas Tech as Big 12 champions. Here's to the Yard Guy. Shout out old Williams and Hyatt show. Century of Tech football, and here we are. Hey, everybody can have an off century. Just kidding. Dallas, the only negative, our offense only drove the field for a TD once. Corey Eakin, my dark horse offensive MVP today, 2 catches. 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, 66 yards. But they were huge moments, right? That as the Ben Roberts interceptions were huge moments defensively and thwarting the BYU offense, those touchdowns, and particularly the one on 4th down, which I like that play so much better and thought it was the right to go for it than the 4th down, whatever that thing was earlier in the game, which I did not mind Tech going for it on 4th down. But you had a guy in Williams who had like 26 yards rushing on the drive, and all of a sudden, it's 4th and 2, and you're doing what? What was going on there? Who approved that play? Somebody online on our Twitter feed at Ryan Hyatt Media. Too cutesy. Yes. Yes, they outthink themselves quite a bit. Typical Tech can go the way of tortilla tossing. Well put. Cheers to you. Enjoying the visit today here on Raiderland Rewind with you guys following a 34-7 Texas Tech victory over BYU, who should be in the playoffs. And if they get squeezed out of the playoffs because they lost to what may go in as the number 3 or the number 2 team in the country, 1 loss neutral field, 1 loss in Lubbock, then the Big 12 needs to get rid of the championship game, which I'd be all in favor either way. But last year, the committee said, no, we're not going to penalize teams for losing in a title game. Okay, prove that to me by keeping BYU in, that you're not going to penalize them for losing to one of the top 4 teams in the country. All right? Glad I was here to see it. More glad Ryan was here to tell me the why of it. Thank you, DG. So like a personal note on today for me. And I do actually know where my Texas Tech diploma is now. I thought, and I didn't think it was lost. I just didn't know for sure where it was. I actually know where it is. It's in my office. I started doing Texas Tech football post-game shows, call-in shows after games in the early 1990s on KFYO. Jack Dale calling the game at the stadium. 3rd quarter, I'd head back to the studios, and we'd be there for the Zach Thomas interception to Bam Morris fumble against North Carolina State, all of that, and even before some of those games. And, continued on over the decades, and there on Sports Radio 1340, and then we morphed into the digital era and the online shows and Raiderland Rewind here with Live Life Well Clinic. And as I was getting set to hit that button that, turns the whole program on, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, of the, gosh, I don't know, hundreds maybe of post-game shows, the most meaningful of shows today. And not just for me. I'm enjoying the hell out of this, don't get me wrong. But for you guys out there, for the Tech fans who, I know that there were probably times for so many of you fans that you thought this day might not actually ever happen, that the deck was stacked against you in college football, that the game was rigged and you weren't in the club, and it wasn't going to happen. And if today is not the full awakening of what I consider to be the greatest era of college football right now, because teams like Texas Tech can win titles, and you can do it by playing by the rules. You can do it by investing. And all of a sudden, we're seeing all these schools come up with all these millions of dollars from other donors and boosters. Tech ain't the only place that has people with money. But slowly, some of the other schools are beginning to figure this thing out a little bit. Tech was ahead of the curve. But that Indiana is playing tonight for the Big 12 title. Indiana. That James Madison can be in the playoff. Everything about this is great. The NIL, the transfer portal, all of those things. And we tried to tell you that. Even me and Rob Bro back on, Talk 103.9 FM, and we had that show from 2019 to 2023. When all of this was transpiring, telling people, no, this is good for Tech. This will benefit Tech. That Tech isn't a poor. Tech is not a have-not. Tech is a have. And if what you saw today with Joey McGuire holding that trophy does not slay that dragon for you, I don't know what else to tell you. But for me, pretty damn cool. Covered my first game with a media pass in 1989. Pretty damn cool. Chris, this was the last monkey off the backs of Texas Tech athletics breaking through in football. Oh, yeah, agreed 100%. Fake Natalie Maines, who may or may not be the real Natalie Maines. Hi, first-time listener, long-time texter. Do we want Alabama to beat Georgia now? What other scoreboards do we need to watch, if any? Of course, that game is underway, and give me game tracker on that, since it's the only thing that matters right now. 7-0 Georgia. 4:36 in the first. I would submit this. It really doesn't matter. If you're 3, you're 2. If you're 2, you're 3. It's the way I view seeds in the NCAA tournament, that if you're on the 2-3 line, you're basically on the same line. It's a uniform selection color. Would that impact maybe, do you go to the Cotton Bowl? Do you go somewhere else on that? I don't know. Do you want to be as high as you can? Well, we'd have to ask Texas Longhorn Ricky Williams about that. But no, I really don't think it matters. For me personally, 3's as good as 2. 2 would be cool. Chris, the penalties in the first half troubling, but clean that up in the second half. And you really just had a couple, but it was just right there early on again. And you get a false start coming out of a timeout, which I just don't understand. Joseph there on Facebook. That's Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. Subscribe to all of our platforms are free. TheRaiderland.com, where we archive everything, and we'll have our 5 things we know on a Sunday column waiting for you. Wait for it Sunday morning. Facebook page, we do a lot of cool fun stuff on Facebook that's a little different from some other places. Oh, you guys are really having fun with our daily dose of West Texas pictures we put on Facebook at night. Typical Tech Dad, you're 10 at him. Suck it. Timbo, YouTube. Watching this team is so different. I don't even get worried. Texas Tech, it felt like even when it was 7-0 there in the first quarter, while Tech was trailing, you just didn't feel like it was out of control. That Tech was not going to control the game. Then they did from there on out, obviously. But there was a tenseness to this game. I texted a friend during the show. I said, this game is tense. In that first half, 7-0, then you get your 13 points, and you think you ought to have more, 13-7. That there was a tenseness going into that third quarter, which has been weird because Texas Tech hasn't really played that many close games this year. You haven't had that feeling. But yes, watching this team is different. Old Texas Tech, man, 91-44. Coach Woods and Coach Leftwich deserve a big raise, and they will be getting them. Including, I'm not sure what all the bonuses are. Don Williams probably has it in the AJ story somewhere, maybe this week. Allen, 70,000 Tech fans. Yeah, I was 70-30 maybe at worst, 80-20. They really didn't know what was going to happen there in Arlington when Texas Tech made this game. They truly didn't understand. And you kept hearing all week long, BYU fans will show up. They did. For a school in, whole other time zone away. I thought BYU's fans were great, and they were loud as hell there in the first half. But they didn't understand what was going to happen when Texas Tech qualified for this game. Hey, Sandy, there you go. Good to see you popping up here. Hey, Ryan, I'm one of those Tech fans since 1980 who thought dreamed someday we would win a conference. So happy, grateful, so thankful. Great job, Ryan. I agree. Great job, me. This was all about me. I have nothing to do with it. CJ, so excited for Red Raiders. Been waiting a long time for this. Now that's really part and parcel of this game that we can go through it and analyze it and break it down in depth and different key moments and everything else. But really, this was a coronation today at a certain point. And it's as much for the fans as it is for those players on the inside. And I've been around championship teams, and I know what those players are feeling like right now, and that coaching staff and everything that what they've gone through to get to this place. And I understand that, and it's cool. But I think the players maybe have begun to understand what this season means to the fans. And for so many of them who came from different places and bought in immediately to what Joey McGuire was instilling culture-wise, and bought into that, I think it has also impacted them just seeing what it means to West Texans, to Texas Tech fans everywhere. The whole first BYU game, is that built up, and the game day experience, and everything else that has transpired. The meet and greets that some of these players have had at different businesses around West Texas. By the way, what are we thinking about the Gorilla and Jacob Rodriguez ad? Great ad, bad local ad. What are we thinking on that? But here's to Jacob Rodriguez. Make that money, brother. And somewhere, the makers of fake mustaches had to be going, what the hell is happening over the last few weeks? You know, there's some sales guy somewhere in a mustache company going, our sales are up 3,000% since November 1st. What are we doing? The economy that Texas Tech is driving. By the way, I was an early adapter on this. You guys know this to be true. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately to the facial hair show. Alan, Bachmeyer was seeing ghosts today. BYU and their fans couldn't believe that Tech was better than 3 weeks ago. And I get that. And yeah, I think you made him see ghosts after the first quarter, and you hit him hard. He had that great run one time into Ben Roberts, and I thought, man, you know, that kid's special. He's tough, and I hope they hang on to him because I want Texas Tech and BYU to be great on the field rivals, and it could turn it into the friendliest rivalry in all of college sports. The love fest between Sataki and Joey McGuire. They'll be eating dinner with each other the night before each Tech BYU game going forward. How can you hate those people? But yeah, the narrative had been LJ Martin back healthy. That'll be the difference. Be able to run the ball, to pass the ball. And Martin showed you some flashes again today, but again at the end of the day, 76 hard yards, an average of 4 per carry. He had the long of 13 on 19 attempts. Nobody else could do a thing. Their run average rush was 2.1 yards. Go back to West Virginia last week where they'd been, you know, averaging whatever it was, 170 something or whatever as a team on a bad offense, and they couldn't even approach that. Time of possession, 31-54, Texas Tech. Pretty cool. The yardage that you inflicted upon them in losses today, the sacks were minus 25 yards. You had another 37 yards of TFL, tackles for loss. That is another thing this defense does staggeringly well, is the TFLs. And a lot of it just goes back to their really good tacklers. It's the best tackling defense I've seen at Texas Tech. It's one of the best tackling defenses I've seen in college football. Fill in the blank, last 20 years, however far back you want to go. In this century, the one-on-one tackling that this team does is remarkable and relentless. Glad you guys are getting in, hanging out with us on Raiderland Rewind. We'll go as long as the conversation is interesting and fun, and whatever you guys want to say about the game, inside out. We hadn't really talked about Baron Morton today. He had a couple of off passes, but he had a couple of really good passes. 20 of 33, 215, 2 touchdowns. The most important thing, he didn't throw an interception. 61% completion, 135. on the quarterback rating, and we go to the advanced analytics on this one, your passing today, you had 10 big plays today overall for 204 yards. Short passing, 16 of 22, 2 of 6 medium, 2 of 4 long. I appreciated the deep shots today. I appreciated them looking downfield a little bit more. I still think you can even do more of it. I really do. But you had some players with some really good yards after catch today. Do I have the yak yardage number in front of me for Texas Tech? Where's my yak? 139 yards after catch. BYU had 132. It felt like you had more than that. Your average per completion was 10.8. But yeah, what you did to them with tackles for losses, Baron Morton just, when the guy finishes games, and how will history treat Baron Morton? He's got to be up there, right? I mean, because when he's been healthy, when he's been out there, you've won games. And he wins you a Big 12 title, and he does it. It's easy to forget. The guy's playing with a broken leg. He's got a hairline fracture in his tibia. I don't know where Baron Morton will rank in the pantheon of Tech quarterbacks, but I hope it's within the top 5 in some form or fashion. That you look at him like Nebraska looks at an Eric Crouch, or fill in the blank. At 31-7 or something, Raider. As someone who's bled scarlet and black since the Jerry Moore era, it means everything. Yeah, and you guys that go back that far are some of the ones I'm thinking about. I'm not trying to tell any of the younger fans that you don't get this. Yeah, you do. You understand it. You know this is awesome, cool. But I don't think people around college football truly understand what this means to this Texas Tech fan base. Randy Wade, is the SEC championship the best uni matchup today? Big 12 would have been if Tech had jerseys that said Texas Tech versus Red Raiders, the flat double T, and BYU wore their lighter blue logo and blue breeches. Yeah, they were. It was really close to a classic uniform for both teams. And it's funny, I remarked to my sainted mother, who was watching the game with me today at Raiderland Worldwide headquarters, that the scarlet and black of Tech and the white and blue of BYU just makes for a great visual. I'm just talking about just people on TV watching and going, man, it looked cool. In the red, by the way, Texas Tech fans should always wear red no matter what the team's wearing. It should always be red. I might allow you guys one blackout a year, but Tech fans should just take back the red and say, you know what, Tech marketing, don't worry about it. We're all going to wear red all the time. Okay. Alan, this championship is part of the West Texas moment or movement. West Texas is cool now because of Landman and Yellowstone. Tech in the playoffs, the next step. There is definitely some synergy that has been, I think, captured and built upon by both Taylor Sheridan and the Landman producers and Yellowstone in Texas Tech. And if you guys saw the hype video this week, totally embracing all that and everything there, I do agree that West Texas is becoming cool, right? Now, it's always been cool to us. I was West Texan when West Texas wasn't cool. But I do believe, Alan, that you were hitting on something here, that all of this is kind of intertwined. Good Lord, I hope people don't start moving out here. Traffic's already bad enough in Lubbock. Kelly King, we had the snap infraction. If that's after pre-snap penalty, you're not calling. There you go. Yeah. So that's technically a pre-snap penalty. There on the when the center, the snap infraction, simulators, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, the false starts DPI. All right, that covers everything right there. Good call, good catch. I'd forgotten about that. JC Double T gets in our YouTube channel here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios on Raiderland Rewind, presented by the Live Life Well Clinic of Lubbock and former Red Raider, great Red Raider, Dr. John Skelton. This game could have been a very huge blowout, but we wanted it to be the 1950s football, running the ball where the rules allow a pass. When the rules allow a pass, running the ball will forever confound me. RTDB, baby. You tried to throw the ball on a trick play on 4th down, and it didn't work with a guy who had 29 yards, 26, 29 yards on the drive. Run the damn ball. It opens up the passing game. Yes, it does. And there are times when you just got to run the ball. I don't know why it confounds you. And I don't get the feeling you're just like some young Xbox generation guy. Old Texas Tech man. First, I'm 60. First championship I've seen in my life. Yes, I'm bragging about my Texas Tech Red Raiders, as well you should. The weird flea flicker pass 4th down play was awful. Yes, it was. I don't mind going for it right there, particularly the way the drive had gone and with the way you'd been running the ball and the momentum that Williams had on that drive. I don't mind it. And yes, I totally understand the people who say, I want to go up 2 scores there. Just take the field goal. All of this is situational to me. The way the defense is playing, the way the defense has, I don't mind going for it there. If they want to try to put together another 90-yard drive or something, more power to you. But I don't understand that play call right then and there at all. 1, it's slow developing. 2, it has a single outcome. And by that, I mean there's only one person you can throw it to. And you've got a quarterback with a broken leg who has to run to his right to make that play. The play call did not make sense. The going for it, fine. Go for it. I think you get Williams the ball there, or if you want to bring in Dickey and try to bash him with that, but Williams had been hot. He was seeing the field really well. For a few minutes, the offensive line was really, they didn't get a lot of push today, but they were really good. And I didn't get that. And that's one of the things, Tech in the red zone discussion. I see a lot of single outcome plays, fade routes. I don't see a lot of misdirection, moving linebackers or maybe even moving safeties up. I just don't see a lot of things I like to see personally in red zone play calling. One of the best offenses in the country. You've beaten everybody you've beaten by 20 points, and there's some guy on Raiderland Rewind bitching about play calling. I get it, Mac. I get it. Truly, I do. Damon on YouTube. That's one thing I didn't like was the official who called the first touchdown out of bounds and absolutely missed a DPI call in the end zone. I think the thinking on that was that the pass was so badly thrown it didn't matter. I think you could have had holding if not DPI, but I get that. But yeah, the first Eakin touchdown that went to replay. By the way, I still hate instant replay. How do you miss that? How do you do that? I don't know. Chris, next up on Facebook, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland on Facebook. And by the way, we'll archive this and have it for you at theraiderland.com, along with everything else we do. We'll have that posted up later on today, so you can share it from here. But you can hit share right now. You can share it with your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Where do we go? There we are. The one thing I didn't like, the official, okay, got through that one. Chris, so will the saddle tramps be allowed to do their thing at the Cotton Bowl game? If it's in Jerry World, no. Apparently it's a stadium issue. I don't get it. Now, I think the on-the-field stuff was a Big 12 deal. The bringing in of their bells for the saddle tramps. And Raider Red can't have his fake shotguns. They're not real. They're fake blanks. They're not shooting real bullets. So I would expect it to be exactly that way if you end up playing there in the Cotton Bowl. Nonsensical. And Tech should be allowed to have the tramps on and do their victory. What's the difference in having a horse out there on the field and having about 40 guys run around and doing the bell circle before the game? There's probably a moment they can do that. If we can have some dude play the halftime show, we can have the bell thing. And whoever you're playing, if they want to do something too, they can do it too on their end of the field. I don't care. Hill Country Red Raider on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. Seeing the fans singing the Matador song after winning the Big 12 championship. Yeah. Pretty cool. JCTT, if Big 12 can't get 11-1 team in, we're all wasting our time until someone grows a pair and files largest antitrust suit on the planet against NCAA and Disney. And if you can't get an 11-1 team in that loses only to a top 4 national team, why are we playing this game? And I don't want to hear data points. I don't want to hear anything on that. Get rid of the conference championship games, and if you expand to 16, I think you can make so much money to divvy up to the conferences that whatever you lose in revenue on the title games, you would immediately make up for in the playoffs. Yeah. Jared, Georgia touchdown, 7-0 over Alabama. First quarter, 4:36 left. 9:47 into the second now. Still 7-0 Bulldogs over the Crimson Tide. It's a mental issue. It's a mental issue for Georgia against Alabama. 1% mental issue. Rolling through the United Supermarkets chat line. Tech needs the Cotton Bowl, and to win it, gets the bad partial blocked field goal taste out of my mouth from the 13-10 loss to Alabama. Yeah, but with it played in Jerry World, they can call it the Cotton Bowl all they want to, but it has ceased to be the Cotton Bowl to me in the way I view that bowl game. Meatballs. It just doesn't matter. Hi there, Bill. JCTT, only city I care about is Tech, relative to Ohio State. That's the only team that can stay within 3 scores. BYU would beat Notre Dame and A&M. Then you got the national people saying Notre Dame and A&M would be ahead of both Texas Tech and BYU. Any of them would be favored over the 2 best in the Big 12. Yes, I think there's a better than 60% chance that's where you'll be. Hill Country reposting the stream. Thank you very much. Ted getting in on Raiderland Rewind, brought to you by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock. We want you to live your life well. They can help. 65. I've waited my entire life. Only thing that was more emotional was the Astros winning the World Series in 2017. And STFU about cheating. Cry somewhere else. Yeah, the cheating Astros winning the World Series. Bang a drum, get it on. Go Astros. Jared, No Shave November turned into Don't Touch That Stash December. Jan, 50 years ago in September, I went to my first game. This is totally unbelievable. Thanks to Joey, this team, and former Red Raiders that paved the way. Good stuff there by longtime fan Jan. JCTT, yeah. Regarding the friendship of Sataki and Joey, reminds me of Frank Layden coaching the Jazz when Dick Motta was there. Hayden gets tossed and makes dinner reservations with Motta as he left. Boy, there's an old NBA reference for you. CJ, ready to see what they can do in the playoffs. I feel like bring on who's next can play against anybody. Defense gives you a chance against anybody in college football. To win, I think, games going forward, you must get touchdowns instead of field goals. That if this team has an Achilles heel, we all know what it is. It is red zone stall outs in its offensive line. That's it. I mean, that's your deal right there. That you can't leave chicken on the bone in any of the games from here because it'll cost you. And the defense, from here on out, I don't know what the magic number is defensively in the playoffs for this Texas Tech team. Are we talking about trying to hold teams to like 21? Is that what you're looking at going against really good teams and potentially some great teams? And I think Texas Tech could be considered a great team, particularly on defense. You're 12-1. That's a pretty damn good team. That's it. And I don't care who you match up against. I would prefer it to be the heavier run teams than the heavier pass teams. Red Raider for life. If you get number 3, it doesn't necessarily, you're not guaranteed Arlington, But I would think after they saw this crowd that that's most likely where they would slot you. But it's not a hard, fast guarantee. Hill Country Red Raider. The Georgia Dome looks like a cave compared to Jerry World. Let's see. JC sent you a setup question. You went straight to the fourth down trick play pass and said run to set up the pass. Typical 1950s ideology. Three things can happen. Two of them are bad when you throw the ball. Pac-Man. Thank you, Texas Tech. By the way, I got no problem with 1950s style football. Dallas on our YouTube channel. How crazy is it that Eakin had 2 touchdown catches, but no one's really talking about it? Goes to show what a huge game this was for Red Raider Nation. Well, I mean, it gets overshadowed with the 2 catches, which were hugely meaningful, big time plays. The first one was just a great catch. The second one was just huge, getting upfield. I thought he'd run out of bounds. Did anybody else? And I know he didn't. I'm not saying he did. But there for a moment, as he was going up the sideline, and he kind of evened out and straightened up there, I thought, dadgummit, he stepped out of bounds. Thinking it just in that brief instant. And I was watching the trail official, and when he kept going and the official didn't do anything, I was like, holy crap. He can go. That was a well-designed play, too. The way they moved backers, the way they moved that with that motion, and just how quickly they got that ball to him out there in space, which that's totally different than the hitch passes and the comeback screens and everything else. That play, you ran off guys, you created the real estate to get the first down, and you got the ball to him fast. So well designed, so well executed. Hey, did y'all know that his nickname is Cowboy? Is anyone aware of that? Timbo, I'm a Lubbock expat. We're moving back from Austin after I retire. Please accept us back. You are allowed to come back. If you once lived in Lubbock, you can come back. Hold on a second. We got to refill this. There we go. Nice. Hillary gets in. Great Red Raider, great Lady Raider as well. Jerry Jones takes the fun out of everything. Boy, 30 years of proving that on the football field. Red Raider for life. I don't know. Timbo, do you have any burnt orange in your wardrobe? I'm almost certain he would not. JC, while I loathe bells, sorry, too many games sitting close to the tramps. The high schools bring their bells. Yeah. Wait, how can you not have a victory bell at a college football game? It's insane. I can understand not having the cowbells individual and people because, can we be serious for a moment? There's a scourge that's been happening across America, and it's time for us to talk about it. And it's the number of attacks that Americans are facing by gangs of young men wearing red shirts, waving cowbells. For far too long, Americans have been unwilling to talk about this, and we have to talk about the amount of cowbell attacks that have been occurring in the United States over the last several years. Thankfully, at Cowboy Stadium, you will be safe from roving bands of lunatics with cowbells. United Supermarkets chat line getting a workout today. Robert Christopher has jumped into the conversation. It's now 14-0 Dogs. 8:16 to go. Putting pressure on Bama. I mean, you still got to put Bama in, right? I mean, even if they get blown out, right? I mean, you got to there. How can we not? Texas will be favored over Florida. Wait, what? Love them letting our Bear leave with curtain call. Oh, Bear Morton. Sorry. I was like, what? Yeah, that was cool. Right there at the end of the game. Now it killed Griffith's rushing average. It just killed his rushing average. And actually, that goes down as a team rush and not an individual rush on kneel down plays in college football. That becomes a team rush and not Grippa's. But he's on the participation chart. He's played in a Big 12 championship game. Kind of wanted to see him throw a pass. Feel bad for BYU. Let's do it again next year. As I said, this could be the friendliest great rivalry in college football going forward. D wins games, but matchup still matters. Which teams are more favorable draws? Again, any team that you think is going to try to primarily run the ball versus pass the ball is the team you want. And we'll see where we are sitting tonight and going into tomorrow, and then we can break down that draw once it's released. A bit folly to try to say, okay, this team, that team, want this team. Whoever you play, you're going to have to play better than you played today, in my opinion. Maybe even all the way around. Money change. Virgil and Cowboy Corey had a great game, but it seemed like Douglas was quiet. Was he getting double teamed? I didn't get the feeling they were bracketing or anything on that. It just seemed like early on the targets, like you said, certainly Virgil, and it wasn't until when does Douglas finally get in? I mean, he had been a non-factor. Yeah, the drive 9:29 there when it was 13-7, so 9:29 in the second half. You get that snap infraction, and you're looking at it. And this was a drive too where Williams is just going off on the first part of the drive. 2 yards, 17 yards. You miss Eakin, you hit Virgil for 9, Williams again for 9, and then all of a sudden this is where you started to discombobulate on the drive, And finally they on the rollout right, he hits Douglas for 23, and then that was kind of it. And you missed going for it on 2nd and 14. That it was Douglas in the end zone, obviously, but yeah, Virgil and Eakin and Virgil, and we only saw Terrence Carter. I think I don't know how many targets he ended up having today. Yeah, he was targeted 4 times, 3 catches, talking about Carter. The long play of 13 yards, but it was Virgil getting 10 targets. So double-digit Virgil targets. And then, of course, Cameron Dickey, 7 targets, 4 catches. Yeah, Caleb Douglas, I don't know if that was like a focal point of their defense to try to take him away, or if it just was everything was opening up the other way early on. JC, yes, sir. Oregon at least favored opponent in quarters. They'll air it out. Yeah, I think that would be a very strong test with their offense. Cuervo under the desk. Nope, I do not drink tequila. I might have a margarita or 2 every year. That's about it. Me and tequila got a divorce in about 1997, if I remember correctly. Thank you. We're just trying to keep Americans safe. DG from West Texas. Typical Tech may finally be over, but typical fans are done too. Adios tortillas. Agree. All of those things can go to the trash heap of history. We'll hang out for a little while longer with you guys here on Raiderland Rewind. Brought to you by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, here from the Hat Creek Interior Studios. Again, if you're looking for great Western style furniture, they've got a fantastic Facebook page. We talk about the power of 5, by the way. If 5 of you people every show go to our sponsors and tell them thanks for being out there, it means a whole lot to them, and they'd love to hear your feedback. So Hat Creek Interiors on Facebook, and then their website's great. Same thing, Live Life Well Clinic on Facebook, and Dr. Skelton's crew there. You can tell them thanks. And United Supermarkets has a good Facebook page, too, that you can tell them thanks for supporting Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland and being a part of what we do here. JC Double T, more cowbell. It's the theme of every high school game played at Jerry World. This was a Big 12 thing. Big 12 adopted NFL rules that apply to Jerry World on any other day. Well, rules are made to be changed. Kelly, Carter's fumble recovery and the ball launching our way was huge. Yes. Yes, it was. All right. Well, let's go back to that little scenario where I just, you're just going, what just happened? And how did that happen? So you're back on that 10-7, 3:03 in the second. It's the 3rd and 1. Williams slashes the first down, but all of a sudden the fumble. It bounces right to Carter, and 35 yards later, it's 1st and 10 at the 25, and you manage to turn that into a 40-yard field goal. Again, the discombobulation after the defense. Well, this time it was the offense that caught the break for you. So you had the quarterback scramble, then you had the incomplete to Douglas at the goal line, incomplete Carter, bad pass on 3rd and 7, and you get the 40-yard field goal. 7:45 in a minute 16 on the right. When that happened, I'm like, and I'm not into the whole omens or predestination or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But when that play happened, I'm just like going, again, this team is different because for 40, 50 years, I've watched that unfold and it bounces. You're going, great run. Look at this. And all of a sudden the guy fumbles and it bounces to a defender and they run and take it back for a touchdown. You don't get that. How many of you guys were thinking the exact same thing on that play? That Tech never gets that play. It's never Texas Tech that recovers that fumble and then advances it. And heaven help us, he was this close to taking it to the house. That would go down into Red Raider lore. It's going to be lost in this game, in the footnote of this game, but you guys remember this in years to come, that was the moment truly inside you knew, this team's going to win this thing. This team is different. Jan, I loved that they passed out rowdy rags at the stadium today. I loved everybody wearing red. CJ, we appreciate you, Hyatt, for all you do for us here in Raiderland all these years. Keep us informed. Thanks, man. It's fun for me. I enjoy the hell out of it. Hill Country Raider, RTDB means ring the dang bells. That's right. We're going to run the damn ball and ring the dang bells. All right. Last comments, thoughts, anything? Defense does it again. We've run out of superlatives for this defense. Hopefully they don't run out of money to pay Shieldwood. Ben Roberts, way to go, Ben. Red Raider legend. Not that he hadn't already had a very great, productive career. Think about anybody who's on this Texas Tech defense starting is a starter on the best defense in Texas Tech history, right? Like singularly, if you took these players out of this moment and put them into other Texas Tech defenses, we'd probably be talking about almost all of them as, this incredible great player. Now it's like a great band. It's a super group, man. It's like Bad Company. Coy just showing up, making big plays, and the run game I thought was really good in moments when it mattered. Williams 5.3 on his carry average. Dickey doing some of the dirty work today, 72 tough yards, but also catching another 20 yards in receptions. And then Stone Harrington now has 9 field goals against one team. I need to know, and hopefully we can find out. We're not going to find out on this show. Has any kicker ever had 9 field goals against one team in the same year? So this would occur in the era of postseason championship game rematches in college football. Has anybody ever had 9 field goals in a season against one team? The dude makes all Big 12 honors just playing BYU. Robert Christopher, things happen when Carter has a big day. Terrence Carter Jr., not Jimmy, he's passed on. Gonna need a new wall for the wall of honor names. Yes, you are. And no matter what happens from here, how history treats this team for Red Raiders, and potentially long after I'm gone and shuffled off this mortal coil, that we have talked, about the early 70s, Jim Carlin, 76 Texas Tech, Rodney Allison, the 1989 team, the 2008 team, different teams here and there. 54 champions, 1938 undefeated, going to the Cotton Bowl, losing to St. Mary's, and the Gales of St. Mary's, Elmer Tarbox, Elmer the Great, that I hope I get to spend a lot more time on this planet just to see where this, and there's still games to be played, where this team will rank in the history and the lore of Texas Tech. And you're living it. And as I say, these are the good old days. Enjoy every minute of it. Don't waste a second of it. Soak it all in. Every minute of it. These are the good old days. And I'd love to see it continue, but we all know how hard it is in college football to do that. Now, in the past, whatever. Tech fans more than anybody know how hard these things are to come by because you hadn't had one since '54. So yeah, just enjoy and savor every moment of it. My goodness, you know. Wendy on Facebook, something we'd never seen before, all at the same time. Top players in every position, great coaches, supportive administration, and a little luck. There you go. That sums it up. I mean, it's a Jimmy Buffett song. With a little luck and love, we will survive and get by and take the sky. And Texas Tech has done that with Joey McGuire with a little love and luck. Great way to sum it up today here on Rewind. Brought to you by Live Life Oil Clinic in the Hat Creek Interior Studios. We thank United Supermarkets for handling all of the chat line today. And, hey, they're open still if you're getting out and getting some groceries, fortifying for the NFL Sunday tomorrow. I'll probably have to hit there in the morning before the selection show, and we'll get all that stuff taken care of. But yeah, I may have to make some queso tomorrow. You guys have been tremendous. I want to thank you guys for being a part of what we do in Raiderland. Our Sunday column, 5 things we know on a Sunday, rolling out in the morning as well. Just, man, go have fun, enjoy it, be smart, and get ready for a great basketball Sunday tomorrow as well with Tech and LSU. And then a huge 2 weeks while Tech football's off of Tech, Lady Raider, and men's basketball. The men, 3 out of the next 4 games, massively important against LSU, Arkansas, and Duke. That you can really put together an NCAA tournament resume over the next 2 weeks. Got to win some games, though. Quit shooting so many damn threes. Go to the rim, get fouled. All right, you guys are fantastic. I want to thank you for being out there. And we will see you on the website at theraiderland.com.